Every man, woman, and child living in this country has a serious problem. Whether you're a citizen or not, it doesn't matter. You have a problem. Whether it's happening right now in front of you or 2-3 years from now, you have a major issue on your hands. You see this woman above me? She's a Tufts University student. She was just arrested. Now, before I continue, this isn't like that kid from Colombia. They said that boy was breaking into buildings, doing all type of stuff. This woman posted an article inside of her school newspaper showing her support for Palestine, showing all the businesses that do dealings with Israel, basically exercising her freedom of speech for real this time. For real this time. No criminal, nothing involved. A bunch of men in masks on video, go look it up. A bunch of men in masks came, picked her up, threw her inside of a car, and took her somewhere that nobody has no idea where she's at right now. You see how it's a slippery slope. At first, we wanted the criminals, right? At first, no, forget that. At first, we wanted the illegals. At first, we wanted the illegals. Now they're going after the legals because of their political standing. Yo, it doesn't matter if you voted for Trump, if you voted for Biden, if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, it doesn't matter. You like to talk, don't you? You like to say things, right? You like to speak your mind, right? You don't feel it because it's happening to them. But look, it's clear as day. It's inching closer and closer to us. It's itching closer and closer. This woman wrote an article. She got doxxed by regular citizens, people who have an agenda, and the government came and picked her up. Yo, nah, that's scary. That's different. That's not the same. I don't care what anybody says. This is not like the rest of them. I haven't heard a case like this yet. I heard of a woman who's been living here for 35 years from Colombia, and then they kicked her out. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't find citizenship within 35 years. Like, I've seen a bunch of stories where you can go, damn, that sucks. That's wrong. But this one is scary. This is a piece being moved on the chessboard. If you don't say nothing about this now, don't say anything about this when it's you. What, you think they're going to stop there? What? They literally said we wanted just the illegals. Now they're going after people with PhDs and doctorates and people who actually pay taxes and is here living legally. We have a problem, America. America, we have a serious problem. And you know what's crazy? It's like, I've never thought I could say this in my life, but this one issue might outweigh anything and everything coming from that camp. Like, I couldn't imagine any American, anybody in this country feeling like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, the greater good, like the greater good, because the greater good eventually is going to come to your front door. The greater good's going to come to your front door. This is the example. This is clear as day. Anybody can see this. I have too much faith in this country for me to think that you guys don't see this. I know you guys love Trump. I know you guys are trying to die on a hill. But this one, if you don't see this coming from a mile away, and they're literally taking them without any due process. They're putting them in places, no lawyers, taking them away from their family. Like, yo, y'all got to stop. Don't you see you're losing the country? Stop it, bro. It's the bad outweighs the good at this point. I don't care what that man's doing. This is insane. Or at least if they come out and explain it, I'll get it. If they say, yo, nah, breathe easy. She was smashing buildings. Chill out. What are you talking? She was doing crime. If she was doing a crime, listen, let's talk about it. But anything other than exercising her free will, for her free speech, we got a problem, man. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments.
Surveillance video shows a graduate student at Tufts University near Boston being taken into custody by federal agents, according to the student's attorney. Rümeysa Öztürk, a Turkish national, was arrested near her apartment close to the university's Somerville campus.
The police. Where are the police? Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
1 minute after the encounter began, Öztürk was walked to an SUV and driven away. ICE did not respond to CNN's request for information on Öztürk's case. A spokesperson for the State Department declined to comment on the specifics of the case, quote, due to privacy and other considerations and visa confidentiality. Ozturk is a PhD student currently in the U.S. on a valid F-1 visa, which allows international students to pursue full-time academic studies, her attorney said. She co-wrote an op-ed in the school's newspaper in March 2024, criticizing Tufts' response to the pro-Palestinian movement. Ozturk's attorney told CNN no charges have been filed against her client. It is unclear why Ozturk was taken into custody. After she was detained, Ozturk's attorney filed a petition in federal district court in Boston, challenging the legality of her detention and requesting that she is not moved out of the district in Massachusetts. On March 26th, her attorney said she received word that Ozturk was transferred to an ICE detention facility in Louisiana.
Do you understand that when an ICE agent walks up to you with no name given, with a mask over their face, what they are doing and what could cause them to do later on to other people, and not just them as in ICE, I mean men who are watching this shit happen and will then decide, what's stopping me from walking up to anyone and acting like an ICE agent? Especially toward women. Do y'all not think that more and more women are going to be taken, that more and more men are going to behave like this, that there are going to be groups of men behaving like this? And the fucking shit that even makes me more irate about this was about all of, Trump didn't want masks, if you can remember, but now he wants all of his little servitudes out there pulling people off the streets to wear masks now? Why isn't there a fucking law that says they have to tell you who they are and show some identification? This is going to have widespread ramifications for people being taken. And I mean people, human beings, not immigrants, not illegals, not undocumented criminals, women, children, men, whomever. There is something wrong here for you to not grasp this and understand this. And please put this out as a warning, especially to women and young girls. That's all I have to say on this matter right now, because it makes me crazy right now.
There's a handful of people that I've cut off since November 5th that have stood by their choices and defended their actions and have now reaped the consequences. And sometimes I second guess myself. Sometimes I ask myself if I'm doing the right thing, if I owe it to people to have a conversation, open a dialogue, if it's my responsibility as a human to try to bring people over to the light. But watching that video of a woman at Tufts University, a PhD student, a legal resident on student visa, get taken off the streets by 6 masked officers that did not identify themselves and get thrown into the back of a car on her way to some prison where she's not going to get her day in court. She's not going to get representation. She'll probably be deported to a foreign country that she has no ties to. She's not going to get any of her 5th or 6th Amendment rights or any of the rights that we pretend to guarantee people in this country. For the crime of writing an op-ed in a student newspaper, for the crime of attending a peaceful protest, I don't want to be within 10 miles of anybody that thinks that's okay. Yeah? I mean, there have been parades. I don't want to say the word, but there have been parades of, the 1930s Germany party in this country, especially since November 5th, because they feel like they won. And they're calling for actual violence against groups of people. And they don't face criminal charges, and they certainly don't get fucking deported. It's hard to process this shit in real time, watching it go down every day on our fucking phones. People in America during World War II, for the most part, didn't really understand the full extent of what was going on in Germany. People didn't really understand just how bad the concentration camps were. And we're watching this day by day slowly progress and get worse while they're snatching up legal citizens in this country for fucking things that they're for behavior that should be protected by the First Amendment. I'm fully aware of the amount of privilege with which I move through the world, right? Because it doesn't make me productive or effective as a person to run away from it or act like it doesn't exist or pretend that I don't benefit every single day of my life from it. Because the fact of the matter is, they're trying to scare us into submission. They want people to stop talking about Palestine. They want it to fade out of the cultural zeitgeist and for us to just become complacent. And that's why they're trying to pass legislation to conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism. That's why they're threatening universities with funding clawbacks if they don't comply with squashing these types of protests. That's why they're snatching people up off the streets because of their proximity to the movement, right? I'm a straight, white, cisgender man. I was born here. What the fuck do I know about oppression, right? So I can be vocal about my advocacy. I can talk my shit. I can go to protests. I can wear a kufiya in public without having to worry about getting doxxed or getting targeted or having my civil liberties being taken away. And that's privilege, right? That's why it's so important for people that look like me to continue speaking out, even with all of these abductions going on, because they can't do anything to stifle our voices.
That's exactly what I'm talking about when I say that Americans don't care about America, right? Because now that it's affecting a foreigner, you give a fuck. It's too late, honey. You had to start when they were doing it to us, because back in 2019, 27 states had already made it illegal to boycott Israel if you wanted to do any kind of contract work with the United States government as an American citizen. As an American citizen in about 48 states now, if you have a business or as an individual, you want a government contract, you have to sign an agreement that you will not boycott a foreign fucking country. Where were the protests then? Now you're worrying about it because it's affecting a foreigner? This is what I mean. It's performative at this point. It's too fucking late. We lost our rights.
I think that being a U.S. citizen will protect you as more and more people get abducted off the streets by plainclothes goons wearing masks. I'd like to tell you the story of Robert Dorsey. Robert Dorsey was a comedian who was living in Berlin at the height of Nazism. He was not a Jewish person. He was not a criminal. He was not a gay person. He had no reason to believe that he would ever be the subject of political repression. He wasn't even an outspoken critic of Nazism in any real capacity. However, one day he was at a cafe and he was telling a friend of his a joke. Here's how the joke goes. Hitler walks into a building, a little girl walks up to Hitler, hands him a pile of dust. Hitler says, "What's this?" The little girl says, "Well, everybody says that when Hitler bites the dust, everything will get better." And he and his friend yuck it up to themselves privately. Come to find out, actually there was a Gestapo informant who was right there, who listened to that joke, and then submitted Dorsey's name to a sort of registry. They then intercepted his mail and found that he had actually said in one letter or another, "When will this madness, meaning the war, end?" Robert Dorsey was picked up, tried, convicted for disturbing the war effort, and killed. You know, like, you think the net will never catch you until the net is dangling you upside down over a pit. I promise you, everybody, if you do not think that they will come after you too, the moment that you start actually realizing, oh my God, where have I found myself? Oh, right, in hell? You are mistaken. Stand up like that! Stand up like that! Stand up like that! Stand up like that!
Even Israel supporters in the US are getting scared by the way with which the government is basically disappearing people and kidnapping them who happen to criticize Israel. Even this guy, Billy Binion, a self-proclaimed staunch supporter of Israel, went on to say, and I quote, "The video is disturbing. I've always considered myself pro-Israel, but if that now means arresting, jailing, and deporting someone whose only crime we know of was writing a pro-Palestinian op-ed, then count me out. I want nothing to do with that. Well, it's a little bit too late for that, Billy, because this is exactly what you wanted. But there is a reason why Israel supporting Billy is now scared, even though he got what he voted for. Because Billy understands that once the door is open, it will not stay with only those who criticize Israel. And a new administration, maybe not today, but in the future, will definitely use this precedence to go after people whose speech they don't like. And it always starts with undocumented immigrants, then moves on to lawful residents. And next, they're gonna come after naturalized citizens. And lastly, it'll be full US citizens who were born in America.
Every single time I think, no, Columbia University couldn't possibly go lower, I am unpleasantly surprised. A couple weeks ago, the Trump administration went to Columbia University and they were like, hey, if you don't give in to every single one of these demands that we have on this like 3 or 4 page document, then we're never going to give you funding ever again. And Columbia's response to that, instead of saying, fighting back and using their ginormous legal arsenal to like pursue other avenues challenging this, they were like, okay. And they acquiesced to every single one of the demands that the Trump administration put forth. And if you're wondering what those demands are, that's changing the admissions process to however the Trump administration sees fit, allowing campus public safety to arrest and detain students, a campus-wide mask ban, putting the entire Middle East, South Asian, and African Studies department under a receivership so that they don't have any say over their own academic pursuits. They're accelerating the launch of their Tel Aviv Global Center. They have, in an official capacity, adopted a stance of institutional neutrality, which means when the president, say, defunds the Department of Education or gets rid of it entirely, they're not supposed to say anything. They've adopted the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which states that something as simple as saying Israel is racist could land you being suspended or expelled. They're expanding more intellectual diversity amongst their faculty, and trust as someone who went there, there's like a good amount of diversity of thought within faculty. There's more. It's like a 4-page document. I would list everything, but it would just take too long. Make no mistake, this is the institution's official response to fascistic crackdown within education. And this shouldn't be entirely shocking given the fact that this is the same institution that refuses to utter the names of their own students and alumni that have been put into ICE detention and not seen since. And this crackdown on free speech, inquiry, and protest is happening at the same exact time as Israel is accelerating their genocide. The message this effectively sends, especially to their Palestinian students, is I could not care less whether or not your family or yourself is kidnapped, detained, or if a bomb is dropped on your house, for all I care. All that matters is that I get my bottom dollar and you shut up and not talk about it in public in my campus. In summation, this is a horrible precedent. Everyone should be speaking out against this. And if you are a faculty member at Columbia, you should be striking. If you are a student, faculty member, parent, alumni, whatever, at any other institution or Columbia in the entire country, you need to be yelling at university administration and trustees to remain accountable to their community and not the fascists in the Oval Office.
This is Mahmoud Khalil, a pro-Palestinian activist who's been arrested by U.S. immigration agents. Khalil is a 29-year-old Palestinian graduate student who was raised in Syria.
The university is not acknowledging the movement and the extent of the movement.
He was a prominent figure in Columbia University's pro-Palestinian student protest movement that set off campus demonstrations around the world. The White House has branded Khalil a radical, foreign, pro-Hamas student and says the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, arrest is the first of many to come. But Khalil has legal permanent resident status, and while a judge has put a hold on his deportation for now, he's still being held in a federal immigration detention facility. Protesters and civil rights groups have voiced their outrage.
We're facing a horrifying reality that our own student, a member of the Columbia community, has become a political prisoner here in the United States. This is a dismal moment in American history.
Protests in support of Khalil have been held in New York and other cities.
We're here today to protest the illegal abduction of Mahmoud Khalil and the overall fascist Trump administration. They're trying to scare students into silence and into repression, and we're here to show that we're not scared.
This is
point blank fascism, and for America to call itself a democracy that thrives off of free speech and the First Amendment, if they could arrest a permanent citizen, a permanent resident, a green card holder, then they could go for anybody.
What? You're going to be under arrest. So turn around.
Okay,
Stop
let's
resisting.
not.
Stop resisting.
Okay, he's not resisting. He's giving me his phone. Okay, he's not. I understand. He's not resisting.
Put your arm
Like,
there's no use for this. Don't worry about it. You're going to have to come with us. Don't worry. I'm coming with you. Don't worry. No one's resisting. No one's getting worked up.
you guys really don't need to be doing all of that. حبيبي كيف بدي اتصل فيك؟
Take Amy. Call Amy.
Okay. Hi, Amy. Yeah, they just like handcuffed him and took him. I don't know what to do. Okay. Then what should I do? I don't know. Noor. Let me ask. Can we get a name, please? Of can we get your name? I understand the lawyer is asking for your name.
Over there. No, we don't give our name.
The lawyer's asking for your name. He's saying they don't give their names.
Oh yeah, that's right. They'll be taken to immigration custody at 26 Federal Plaza.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
They'll be taken to immigration custody at 26 Federal Plaza.
She said they're taking him to 26 Federal Plaza. Can you please specify what agency is taking him, please? Excuse me. They're not talking to me. I don't know. I don't know. Excuse me. The lawyer would like to speak to somebody. Oh my God, they're literally like running away from me.
I was born and raised in a Palestinian refugee camp in southern Damascus in Syria. My family's history in Palestine actually goes back to as long as my grandparent could trace it. They lived in a very small village right next to Tiberias. Mostly they were farmers. My grandmother, she used to tell us that she had Jewish neighbors. They would share a piece of land where they would farm it. Tiberias was one of the first cities that the Zionists targeted in 1948 with ethnic cleansing. My grandmother, she was pregnant at that time. She had to walk 40 miles. She gave birth on the way. When they arrived in the refugee camp, they thought it's just a matter of days until they would go back. They did not want to be killed because they heard about the horror stories across Tiberias. My dad was born in a tent. His family lived in that tent until like mid-70s when they upgraded to small structures. In the 90s, they finally kind of like had concrete buildings. To us, it was always a temporary home until we go back to Palestine.
The Trump administration just canceled 300 student visas as more F1 foreign students are being targeted. So far, they are targeting pro-Hamas demonstrators, and the way they identify them is using special software for facial recognition. That's how they're finding them, canceling their visas, actually picking them up and detaining them. These students are from countries like Jordan, Egypt, Syria, Canada, and the UK. Currently enrolled in Columbia University, UPenn, Michigan State, Syracuse, UCLA, Carnegie Mellon, and George Washington University. More universities will be targeted as well. This is part of a broader plan from the State Department to check all student visa holders to make sure they're not in violation of their status and remove them from the United States. This will also impact the numbers of actual student visas being issued at the moment at consulates, embassies worldwide.
Okay, by now you've seen that video of the Tufts University grad student taken into custody by ICE agents. Well, now we're learning the State Department has revoked at least 300 student visas. And here's what we're hearing from Secretary of State Marco Rubio about it.
I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid. for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in. We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa.
You're saying it could be more than 300
sure,
visas?
I hope. At some point, I hope we run out because we've gotten rid of all of them.
The secretary making those remarks during an overseas trip. Remember, this is the same person who has for years defended protesters in other places like Hong Kong for crackdowns on free speech. Here's what we know about what's happening in this country. Many of these students and academics rounded up by the Trump administration attended or were part of that pro-Palestinian movement we saw sweep through college campuses last year. And we know, at least in the case of the Tufts University grad student, that she had an F1 visa, which gives her a lot of the same rights as American citizens, like freedom of speech. The administration isn't giving us a lot of details as to why they're choosing certain students over others, but it does appear that this is a new phase in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. They're no longer targeting just criminals or even undocumented migrants. They are going after legal permanent residents, student visa holders, and others who live and work in this country with legal status. This has experts and advocates concerned about the slippery slope.
This Yale professor is leaving the US because he believes that the country is sliding towards a fascist dictatorship. Jason Stanley, who literally studies fascism, is moving to Canada because of what had just happened at Columbia University. Columbia recently caved into demands by the Trump administration in order to restore $400 million in federal funding. This included a harsh crackdown on pro-Palestine student protesters. Since then, numerous students have been arrested and are now facing deportation simply for speaking out in support of Palestinian human rights. This includes Mahmoud Khalil, a key organizer of the student protests, who also holds a green card. Lekha Kordia, another student protester, is also facing deportation. And Ranjani Srinivasan, a student from India who simply voiced support for Palestine online, has already fled to Canada out of fear because her visa was revoked. All of these people have been smeared as either terrorist sympathizers or anti-Semites as a basis for their deportation. And this isn't just about Palestine. Experts say that the US is using these funding threats to control universities, dictating entirely what they teach and who gets to speak. Today, it's pro-Palestinian voices, but tomorrow, it's anyone who challenges their far-right agenda. So what's happening now is setting a very dangerous precedent. Academic freedom and freedom of speech in general is under attack in the US. If you want more in-depth explainers and analysis on topics like these, then check out my Substack, the link of which is in the bio. In the meantime, share this post to raise awareness and follow to stay informed of the most important current affairs.